So many storylines heading into Denver, but there can only be one lead story, and it's RJ Hampshire. That's right, we have our very own Rick James in Supercross, and Rick is 2 main events away from being a 250 Supercross champ. Using a combination of heart, a locked wrist, and newfound discipline, RJ has changed his traits, his tendencies, and somewhat his image as a longtime sender into a polished and predictable podium machine. That has led him to this moment. With the departure of the Lawrence brothers from 250 racing, the Australian Honda domination came to an end, and a door was left wide open. Levi Kitchen stepped up, as did Tom Vial and Hayden Deegan, all looking to be that guy and take over the class in 2024. While these dudes stepped up, RJ was already there, and now looking back, should have been the favorite to win either coast, once you scratch below the surface a bit. Now, after a huge win at the Nashville East-West Showdown, by far the biggest of his career, RJ has his battered championship contender Levi Kitchen on the ropes, and 2 gate drops from now, the odds of becoming the 250 West Coast Supercross champion are in his favor. Back in episode 13, we took a dive into Levi Kitchen's background to give you a better idea of who this guy was. Hole-shotting, winning races, becoming a star. That story made him more understandable. And when you look into the details of RJ Hampshire's career, it makes his mentality way more understandable. First, RJ's story is not much different from Kitchen's or Cameron McAdoo's when it comes to amateur success. Other than a second-place finish to Cooper Webb at Loretta Lynn's as a 6-year-old on a 50, RJ had nothing on his resume in those younger years. He would race 65s and 85s like the rest of the kids, but never sniffed the top 5 again until he was on a 250 in the B class. Quick story and a humble brag. Summer of 2012, I coached a NorCal kid named Troy Graffender. We built a 2-month plan, the kid followed it to a T, and worked his ass off. Showed up at Loretta's and won it, beating guys like Aaron Plessinger, Jordan Smith, and RJ Hampshire, who finished 4th, his first solid showing at the ranch in 10 years. This was a turning point. RJ got a taste, and with that taste came the biggest decision of his career, one of the biggest of his life actually, and it's playing out in front of your eyes right now. You see, RJ grew up a baseball player, a pitcher, and he was really good. Good enough to chase that dream with a realistic shot at making it. Division I interest, maybe a career in MLB, who knows where it goes? We never will, because RJ decided to give it up and be a full-time dirt bike racer. He loved it more. And with that decision came a commitment to becoming a pro, maybe a factory rider, and if things work out and fall into place, a champion? Well, he moved up to the A class, put his head down, had a solid Loretta's in 2013, then traveled from Florida to Las Vegas to race the 250 All-Star class at the Monster Cup with the hopes of breaking out and getting a ride. Well, he won it, giving the fans of Supercross their first glimpse of RJ Hampshire. He got the ride with Geico Honda, and with confidence and support, it all came together. He won both A classes at Loretta's in the summer of 2014, showed up at an arena cross in Reno later that year and won that too, whooping my ass in the process. He was sketchy though, oh my God. Absolutely weeded himself multiple times that weekend, but took the beating and won. Anyone who saw him in Reno knows exactly what I'm talking about. Holy sin. Then somehow, the wild kid I raced in the Livestock Center would go on to finish 5th in his rookie season of Supercross, behind Marvin Muscan, defending champ Justin Bogle, Jeremy Martin, and Joey Savacci. An incredible start to a pro career. And then, lots of crashing, injuries, some success, but was definitely not showing the traits needed to be a champion. Some would call it wild and reckless, others call it heart, but RJ could not find the balance and spent years either on the box or on the ground. And nobody in their right mind would have predicted that RJ would become the most consistent dude in the class, which he is now, backed by some pretty incredible stats. Did you know that RJ has finished 2nd in points to Jett Lawrence the past 2 seasons? Yeah, yank Freak Show off the entry list, and RJ's already won this thing a couple times. Did you know that last year he was only off the podium twice? Yeah, 7 of 9 on the box. And this season, 3 wins, a 2-point lead with 2 to go. So what are the odds here? RJ won Denver last year, which always feels good when you roll back into a building that's given you something special. He won the first showdown this year, so Salt Lake City plays in his favor as well. His combatant, Levi Kitchen, he's been incredible this year, but he's banged up. I'm hearing he's doing better, but a rib issue in the Denver and Salt Lake elevation will be brutal for the guy. This sets up perfect for Rick James. A decade of crafting that balance, of being an all-in pinner but learning to keep it inside the blocks, a stubborn, relentless approach to racing. And here we are, 2 nights away from being able to look back and say, hey, I made the right call. And that 90-mile-an-hour fastball was never going to give me the same feeling that winning a Supercross main event does. Imagine how that championship would feel. The 450 Supercross Championship feels over. Jett's performances in Nashville and Philadelphia were textbook, resembling the kind of rides that former Supercross champions and legends had on their biggest nights. Clutch rides that seem fairly easy, both reminders of what Jett looks like at full ceiling. Unbeatable. So yeah, it feels over. But it's not. 1 year ago in Denver, we learned that valuable lesson the hard way. Think of the irony of the moment, which explains the eerie feeling in that building. When Eli Tomac in his home state of Colorado, riding like an absolute machine, fans caught up in the moment watching their guy check a couple boxes on his way to a 3rd Supercross championship, and he overjumps a jump by, what, a foot, and tears his Achilles? A body part that doesn't typically run risk of destroying someone's night, championship, and season, at least not in this sport. That was weird. I remember the feeling I had interviewing Jeremy Coker while the 450 main was still going down.
I have Jeremy Coker, team manager with me. Give me the update, the status, what do we know?
Yeah, unfortunately, without crashing, we just came up a little short on that jump, and it's an unfortunate report we have to make, but we ruptured the Achilles tendon, and it's going to put us out for the rest of this season.
Now, that incident was extreme, the furthest in the WTF range of things that could happen to alter course in a championship. So let's not think of the 1 in a million type things. Let's just look at Jett. Maybe these last 2 weeks were a glimpse of what 2025 will look like, but in 2024, he's still him. Vulnerable to his own mistakes. Who says it doesn't rain like San Fran and he finishes outside the top 5 straight up? Maybe Jason gets him all revved up again and completely distracts him from the task at hand. Maybe he crashes on his own like he did at A2 in Arlington. Or maybe he gets voodooed again by Vince or annihilated by Bam again. You see, regular things can play a role in these final 2 rounds too. But doesn't it feel like I'm reaching? He seems past that stuff. Even when he goofs, like he did in his heat race at Philly, he gets it out of the way in the race that doesn't matter. Yeah, it feels over. If we're being honest, 2025 feels grim too. He'll be better, right? I mean, he's 21. The ceiling can and will be higher, and it might need to be next year. Chase Sexton has been on a Honda his entire pro career. Let's give him a year to adapt to the steel frame before we judge. The glimpses we've seen are pretty good, and he'll be better in 2025. Eli, if he comes back, which is sounding more and more possible every day, will be better next year too. A normal offseason, some self-reflection on where the speed and standard is now in 450 Supercross, and the second winningest Supercross racer in the sport's history can elevate too. Then there's Cooper Webb, still hanging on by a thread, proved again this year that it doesn't matter the circumstance. April rolls around, and there he is. So while the feeling may be that we've entered a period of domination where one guy's just going to cruise these things in and bore us to death, that isn't the case today. Today, it's 12 points, and it's Supercross, where anything can happen, and it usually does. That phrase is trademarked, not to be used without the permission of Daniel Blair Show. This week's Privateer shout-out goes to all the Privateer 450 dudes on the gate with 2-digit numbers. I'm sure you're all wondering, like, why do I care about 2-digit numbers? What's the big deal about a 2-digit number? Well, for me, when I was racing, it's something that I always wanted to earn. But unfortunately, they didn't let you use your 250 Supercross points back then, so my 85 points in 2009 got me nothing. Now you know why I'm so affectionate to the number 125 and why I get so frustrated when certain people use it and do dumb things with it. Anyways, back to the 450 LCQ. I'm looking at that lineup. I'm going, oh my gosh, there are so many 2-digit dudes on the gate. These are accomplished guys with resumes who earned points and stacked those points and got a number. And I'm thinking, man, that's got to be pretty intimidating being on the gate knowing there's that many good dudes and only 4 are getting into the main event. So I want to give a huge shout out to all those 450 privateers who are battling it out each and every week with their 2-digit numbers, trying to stack more points for next year. And for me, maybe not you, maybe I'm alone on this one, but I've always thought that part of the sport is cool. The ability to earn points, change your number every year, and hopefully go lower next year than you did this year. So shout out to all you privateers who got your numbers and are on the gate repping, and good luck the last 2 rounds of the championship. We'll see you next week. Thank you so much for watching this show. If you liked it, press the like button. And if you want to subscribe, then press the subscribe button. Share it with your friends, with your family, and grandma. Make sure you send it to grandma. Grandmas love everything Main Event Moto does. All you Motoheads out there, we are still rocking and rolling at Main Event Moto. You can go to patreon.com/Main Event Moto. We do 2 shows a week now, and both of them are live streamed. Patreon.com/Main Event Moto, and we will catch you on the next show.